The place that has promised a green Olympics is now dealing with a big gray haze. A new study suggests that incredibly high levels of pollution in Beijing may even cause some people to have heart attacks or strokes. We're paging our Dr. Gupta to see how this could affect athletes and spectators alike. CNN's chief medical correspondent is in Atlanta this morning, so it's not just the athletes at risk here, Sanjay, but literally everyone who comes to the area.
That's right, especially if you're someone who's not used to this. We have focused a lot on the endurance Olympic athletes, but spectators are going to be at risk as well. You know, I had a chance to be there, John, as you know, and when you're sort of in that area, you really feel that smog. You can taste it, you can smell it, you can feel it, and it can be very hard on your lungs. But let me give you a little bit of context here, comparing what we call particulate matter in a big urban center like Chicago, for example, 20 micrograms per cubic meter versus Beijing, 260 micrograms per cubic meter. This is on any particular day, some days worse than others. The risk factor, what that translates to is a 43% higher risk of having heart events or even strokes, as you mentioned. What happens, John, is that particulate matter gets into your lungs. It causes the lungs to get slightly inflamed and subsequently can cause inflammatory proteins to make your blood a little bit stickier, and that's the problem. Your blood's stickier, it's a little thicker, that can be a problem. Now, one thing I want to point out is that you go to Beijing, you're going to be watching these events, and then you're going to get on a plane and fly back home. What researchers have warned is that within the first 4 to 24 hours after exposure to this particulate matter, you're at the highest risk. So your best bet is to stay inside maybe for a full day before you get on a plane, so you don't expose yourself both to the pollution and then the plane ride itself, John.
Is there anything people could do to mitigate their exposure to this other than staying inside and watching the games on television?
I think there are a few things, and we thought about this. First of all, you think about the blood being thicker, so if you thin it up a little bit, even taking a baby aspirin, for example, that can be helpful. 81 milligrams is a baby aspirin. Stay inside, as you mentioned. Wear a mask. You're going to see a lot of masks over there if you're at the Olympics. Spectators, even some of the athletes, make sure to bring your meds, especially if you have a history of heart or lung disease. And here's the tip that I've learned from lots of travels overseas. Trying to find a native-speaking hospital. If you're in a crisis or you're having an emergency, you need to make sure that people understand what you're saying.
All right, some good tips there. Sanjay Gupta for us. Sanjay, thanks very much.
Thanks, John.